Hello everyone, today our group will talk about Chapter 8, Planning Work Activities. A key to success in management and in your career is knowing how to set goals, professionally and personally. Let me talk briefly about learning objectives. Define the nature and purposes of planning. Classify the types of goals organizations might have and the plans they use. Compare and contrast approaches to goal setting and planning. Discuss contemporary issues in planning. The first part, the what and why of planning. Planning involves defining the organization's goals, establishing strategies for achieving those goals. There are four reasons that managers should plan. Planning provides directions, reduces uncertainty, minimizes waste and redundancy. Establish the goals or standard. Next, what is the relationship between planning and performance? First, formal planning is associated with positive financial results. Second, doing a good job planning and implementing those plans play a bigger part in high performance. Next, the external environment often was the culprit. Finally, planning performance relationships seem to be influenced by the planning time frame. There are two types of goals, stated goals and real goals. There are four types of plans. In each type has two specific descriptions. Brief has strategic and operational. Time frame has long-term and short-term. Specificity has directional and specific. Frequency of use has single use and standing. Goal setting has two types. Traditional goal setting and management by objectives (MBO). Goals which set by top managers flow down through the organizations and become sub-goals for each organizations. A traditional goal setting. The problem of this type is that turning broad strategic goals into department and team can be difficult and frustrating process. Another type is management by objectives, a process of setting mutually agreed upon goals and using those goals to evaluate employee performance. MBO programs have four elements: goal specificity, participative decision making, and explicit barrier, and performance feedback. Three contingency factors affect the choice of plan: organizational level, degree of environmental uncertainty, a length of future commitments. In the traditional approach, planning is done entirely by top managers who often are assisted by a formal planning department, a group of planning specialists whose sole responsibility is to help write the various organizational plans. Another approach to planning is to involve more organizational members in the process. Let's move to the final part, contemporary issues in planning. How can managers plan effectively in dynamic environments? Managers should develop plans that are specific but flexible. Recognize that planning is an ongoing process. Managers need to stay alert to environmental changes and may impart implementations and respond as needed. Finally, make the organizational hierarchy flatter to effectively plan in dynamic environments. How can managers use environmental scanning? By environmental scanning, which involves screening information to detect emerging trends. One of the fastest growing forms of environmental scanning is competitor intelligence, gathering information about competitors that allow managers to anticipate competitors' actions rather than merely react to them.
So now we move to the case one. This case is on about the Lance Armstrong, the now Scarborough cyclist, and his journey fights against cancer and his recognition of lack of resources of individual dealing with cancer. So he organized the Live Strong Foundation to serve millions of people affected by cancer. Surprisingly, in October 2012, Lance Armstrong were impeached by using doping during his legendary career. As the result, Doug Almond, CEO and president of Livestrong Foundation, has to take on the responsibilities to overcome the crisis, maybe even a life or death crisis of the company. The question 814. A company may not have the ability to estimate the outcome of this situation as it occurs suddenly, and no one can predict what it happens. It seems like a snake without head when a founder, a chief, will out of the responsibility of the company, and the company is almost go bankrupt if it doesn't have the ingenious guideline of the executive chief of the Livestrong Foundation. Question A15. As every actions of Livestrong may cause risk to the image of the company, so any plan which is carefully prepared and stay would keep it stay away from the uncertainty problems. A long-term and a short-term plan also give its employees to the clear goal and standard to move forward. There are some kinds of goals that the company should sometimes blame that the company should have either short-term and long-term plan, the directional plan, as well as the single-use plan. Question A16. In my perspective, single-use plan should be taken advantage of in this situation because this circumstance may not happen again. It means it is a unit problem and the plan has no meaning after the company solved the problem. Question A17. They'll see planning as the pivotal role in the process of development or anything related. The more accuracy you set up a plan, the less uncertainty problem you will encounter. Moreover, it sets an objective for the whole employees to approach. Move to the case 2. This case illustrates Garmin company, a global leader in satellite navigation equipment, with its succeed in subduing a great milestone and a future hardship of changing the direction of the firm. The GPS system, which is the main product of the company, is of paramount importance to drivers in searching ways to their destinations. But it is dangerous to hold a phone and steer on the screen while you are driving. So managers of Garmin want to develop their product to be embedded in their dashboard systems a wide range of cars for safety reasons. This direction is seen at a broad view of the manager of Garmin that shift to the new markets, from selling directly to their customer into selling its copywriter to vehicle industry. Nevertheless, its prostitute departments still focus on enrich their GPS features. Question A18. Goals assist the leader to build up the plan as well as outline the role for the whole company to comply. And some types of goals that the company must have is the success in contracts with car brands applying GPS systems, as well as the technological success in integrating GPS systems in dashboard systems. Question A19 is the strategic plan, long-term and short-term plan, directional plan. The question A20. Garmin want to accomplish shifting the company into a whole new direction, but it will take time. Therefore, their new ideas have to be long-term goals. Environmental uncertainty is when the factor or changes in the external environment are known, especially in the marketplace. So managers have to be prepared to change where necessary and go with the flow, which in A21. Remember, they are a global company, therefore, there are a range of competitors are competing their position. They must have an ongoing process, constantly wanting to improve and stay on the top. They should utilize environmental scanning by screening information to detect emerging trends to be ready to follow or move with those trends. Also stay updated with the competitors to anticipate what they might do next.
Hello everyone, my name is Kid and today I will present to you the learning object number 1, 2, 3, 4 of chapter 9, Managing Strategy. And we begin with the learning object number 1, Strategic Management. So what is strategic management? Strategic management is what managers do to develop the organization strategies. It's an important task involving all the basic management functions: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So what are an organization strategies? They are the plans for how the organization will do whatever is in business to do, how it will compete successfully, and how it will attract and satisfy its customers in order to achieve its goals. One term often used in strategic management is business model, which simply how a company is going to make money. It focuses on two things: whether customers will value what the company is providing and whether the company can make any money doing that. And why strategic is so important? The most significant one is that it can make a difference in how well an organization performs. And another reason is important has to do with the fact that managers in organizations of all types and sizes face continually changing situations. As we discussed in chapter 7, they cope with uncertainty by using the strategic management process to examine relevant factors and decide what actions to take. And finally, the strategic management is important because organizations are complex and diverse. Each part needs to work together toward achieving the organization's goal. Strategic management helps do this. And we come to the learning object number 2, the strategic management process. The strategic management process is a 6-step process that encompasses strategy, planning, implementation, and evaluation. The step 1, identifying the organization's current mission, goals, and strategies. Every organization needs a mission, a statement of its purpose. Defining the mission forces managers to identify what is its business to do. And with the step 2, doing an internal analysis. Once they have analyzed the environment, managers need to pinpoint opportunities that the organization can exploit and threats that it must counteract or buffer against. Opportunities are positive trends in the external environment. Threats are negative trends. In step 3, doing an internal analysis. An organization's resources are its assets: financial, physical, human, and intangible, that it uses to develop, manufacture, and deliver products to its customers. Its capacities are its skills and abilities in doing the work activities needed in its business. The major value creating capacities of the organization are known as its core competencies. Both resources are core competencies determine the organization's competitive weapons. After completing an internal analysis, managers should be able to identify organizational strengths and weaknesses. Any activities the organization does well or any unique resources that it has are called strengths. Weaknesses are activities the organization doesn't do well or resources it needs but doesn't possess. And in the step 4, formulating strategies, the manager should consider the realities of the external environment and their available resources and capabilities in order to design strategies that will help an organization achieve its goals. In the step 5, implementing strategies, once strategies are formulated, they must be implemented. And the final step, the step 6, evaluating results. The final step is the strategic management process, evaluating results. How effective have the strategies been at helping the organization reach its goals? What adjustments are necessary? And we come to the learning object number 3, corporate strategy. And what is corporate strategy? A corporate strategy is one that determines what businesses a company is in or wants to be in and what it wants to do with those businesses. It's based on the mission and goals of the organization and the roles that each business unit of the organization will play. And what are the types of corporate strategy? There are 3 main types of corporate strategy that are growth, stability, and renewal. In the growth, a growth strategy is when an organization expands the number of markets served or products offered, either through its current business or through new businesses. An organization that grows using concentration focuses on its primary line or businesses and increases the number of products offered or markets served in this primary business. In horizontal integration, a company grows by combining with competitors. And finally, an organization can grow through diversification, either related or unrelated. Related diversification happens when a company combines with other companies in different but related industries. Unrelated diversification is when a company combines with firms in different and unrelated industries. Instability strategy is a corporate strategy in which an organization continues to do what it is currently doing. And the last one, renewal strategy. The manager needs to develop strategies that address declining performance. A retrenchment strategy is a short-run renewal strategy used for minor performance problems. And when an organization's problems are more serious, more drastic action, the turnaround strategy is needed. And how are corporate strategies managed? It comes with the BCG matrix. It's a strategy tool that guides resources allocation decisions on the basis of market share and growth rate of SBU. Now we come to the last learning object, number 4, competitive strategies. A competitive strategy is a strategy for how an organization will compete in its businesses. When an organization is in several different businesses, those single businesses that are independent and that have their own competitive strategies are referred to as strategic business units, SBUs. So there are some roles of the competitive advantage. Developing an effective competitive strategy requires an understanding of competitive advantage, which is what sets an organization apart, that is, its distinctive edge. So we can come with the quality as a competitive advantage, a design thinking as a competitive advantage, and the social media as a competitive advantage, and the last one is sustaining competitive advantage. There are 5 forces model in any industry that dictate the rules of competition. Together, the 5 forces determine industry attractiveness and profitability, which managers assess using the 5 factors. The first one is threat of new entrants. The second is threat of substitutes. The third is bargaining power of buyers. The fourth is the bargaining power of suppliers, and the fifth, the last, is the current rivalry. And how to choose a competitive strategy. When an organization competes on the basis of having the lowest costs are expensive but not prices in its industry, is following a cost leadership strategy. A low-cost leader is highly efficient. A company that competes by offering unique products that are widely valued by customers is following a differentiation strategy. And although two competent strategies are aimed at the broad market, the final type of competitive strategy, the focus strategy, involves a cost advantage, cost focus, or a differentiation advantage, differentiation focus in a narrow segment or region. And before we leave this section, we want to point out the final type of organizational strategy, the functional strategies, which are the strategies used by an organization's various functional departments to support the competitive strategy. And that's just the end of my section. Now we come to the learning object number 5 and the case application of chapter 9. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Thanh Lam and today I will present about a case study, Zara fast fashion. The first question is how strategic management illustrates in this case study. According to the case, Zara brands involves a clear and focused understanding of fashion, technology, and their market, and the ability to adapt quickly to trends. Inditex is practicing strategic management, and its evidence starting is the first one is setting goals. The owner goes to produce fast fashion. The second one is the formulation of strategy, to use technology to produce designs within 2 weeks. The third is the implementation of strategy, building the design process to take advantage of computer-assisted technology. The fourth is the evaluation of result, the constant evaluation of design to see which are successful. The second question is how might SWOT analysis be helpful to Inditex executives to Zara store managers. A SWOT is a basic strategic tool that helps decision makers understand the environment and their own company's abilities. In this case, a SWOT would ponder
out the opportunities and threats that exist in the garment industry and Inditex's ability to take advantage of those opportunities and minimize the threats. For Zara store managers, a SWOT is not particularly useful unless they are able to contribute the firm's strategy or they have to latitude the implement strategy decision at a store level. The third question is, what competitive advantage do you think Zara is pursuing? How is she exploiting that competitive advantage? Zara is implementing a differentiation strategy by using technology and just-in-time production. They are seeking to gain a competitive advantage by being faster to the market and more responsive of company needs. The key for Zara is bringing products to market quickly, so they are not pursuing a low-cost strategy. They are not pursuing a focused strategy in that they are not focusing on only one side of the industry. Do you think Zara's success is due to external or internal factors or both? Successful companies are a tour of both internal and external. This is the premise of the open system model. Zara would not be successful if they do not match their internal strengths to opportunities in the external environment. What strategic implication does Zara move into online retailing have? Zara's strength lies in their ability to use technology to monitor changes in sales and their respond by producing a new garment in a quick time frame. This responsiveness to customer preference would be a good match to demands associated with internet retailing. The second case study is Rewind and Replay. Using Porter's framework describes Syntro competitive strategy. Syntro strategy is the best described as a focus of segment strategy. They have taken a segment of the market, digital streaming on mobile phones, and shown to become a choice provider. Still they made a Syntro strategy as differentiations is reasonable view, but do not consider that Syntro currently does not compete in the other entertainment markets such as a home computer, cable, or content provision. What competitive advantages do you think Syntro have? Syntro competitive advantage is based on the several factors: speed, variety, and technologies. All of these factors can be considered part of Syntro core competence of convenience. Syntro have invested hundreds of millions of dollars into technology to stream TV and mobile movies via phones. This gives the company an advantage over other competitors who try to enter a market as to compete would require large amount of capital to match Syntro's current system. How will Syntro function strategy to have to support its competitive strategy? Functional strategy are the strategy used by an organization, various functional departments to support the competitive strategy. It lies on the Syntro emphasis on creating a personal digital live stream for subscribers. The fourth question is, what do you think Syntro is going to have to maintain these competitive positions, especially as its industry trends? Well, Syntro operates in a highly competitive and fast-changing environment. To maintain its competitive advantage, Syntro has to stay ahead of trends in the market and new technology. Syntro will have to gain more control over its contents. It may mean entering into a new line of business, such as laptop-style application. Syntro will have to be aware and take advantage of new technologies such as internet-ready TVs and even newer ways to shopping online or watching TV that have not yet been marketed. Thank you for listening.